Oh yeah, what up? I'm just coming on here to give my quick thoughts on Ring of Honor's first episode on HDNET. Checked it out earlier. Thought it was a pretty solid show. More or less, this is just going to be my thoughts on the show. I'm not going to really give a review and give star ratings for each match because I really feel it's not, fair to give star ratings to TV shows like the Ring of Honor's TV show, Impact, or any of the WWE shows, SmackDown, Raw, ECW, unless one of the matches is so good that you have to consider it like a match of the year candidate. Then you can give it a star rating. More or less, I don't want to give a TV broadcast, an overall score or a rating. It's just pretty much coming on here to give my thoughts on it. But like I said, thought it was a pretty solid show. Now, the only thing that was a noticeable change on here was the commentators on here. You had Dave Prazak still being a commentator, but instead of Lenny Leonard commentating with him, you had a new commentator, which was, I think his name was Mike Hogwood. And he didn't do a terrible job, but he is going to be one of those commentators that is going to need a little work with calling the matches. But overall, I think, by the end of this set, when they tape the next set of Ring of Honor TV shows, I think by then he's going to be at least improving a little bit. He's a little better than some of WWE's commentators or Don West. I think he's better than Don West and what Michael Cole was back in the day and still is, because I don't think Michael Cole is a good commentator. But I would kind of say the commentator on here is kind of like Jim Ross light. I think people that would see him would probably say, "Oh, this guy's just trying to be another Jim Ross as far as a commentator goes." And I don't understand why they switched up the commentators. That's the only thing they switched up. Now, as far as the cameraing on here, obviously you saw a very big increase in the production values on here compared to the Ring of Honor pay-per-views or Ring of Honor DVDs. Now, the last pay-per-view Ring of Honor did, you saw an increase in pay-per-views. Production value on here, this is probably Ring of Honor's best production value, obviously with it being on HDNET, with it being an HD program. Obviously it's going to have the best production value that Ring of Honor has had yet. And had 4 matches on here. The opening matchup was Delirious versus Jerry Lynn. Thought this was a good back and forth match between these two. They got about 5 to 6 minutes, which all these matches on here, surprisingly, actually got a good amount of time. That was the main thing I was worried about for Ring of Honor getting a 1-hour TV show was I didn't know if the matches would get a appropriate time. But actually, all these matches did get a good amount of time, and everyone got to showcase what they had to do in their matches. And Jerry Lynn and Delirious did some good back and forth stuff. Jerry Lynn went over, pretty solid match. I think it was good to start off with having Jerry Lynn in the opener, because say if people that have HDNET were just switching around and maybe said, hey, let me give Ring of Honor a shot. And Jerry Lynn's one of those guys that some people from back in the original ECW would remember who he is. And he's, one of Ring of Honor's talents that is a known name. I think it was good to start off with him. Then after this, they went backstage to have a promo with Tyler Black, building up to the Tyler Black versus Jimmy Jacobs main event. And I think they did a very good job to emphasize how important the main event was between Jimmy Jacobs and Tyler Black. That was what they were building the whole show around. I think it was a good job doing that. Tyler Black did a promo here. Pretty much, they kind of went on the route that I think, Gabe Sapolsky in one of his shoot interviews when he did the Secrets of Ring of Honor bookings DVD with kayfabe commentators, as far as not really the whole feud with Jimmy Jacobs, Tyler Black went the way that he was going to do. But kind of promo-wise here, they kind of, went that route, saying, both of them had different thoughts on their movement and what their movement really stood for. And that was pretty much the emphasis of what, Tyler Black's promo was. And then the next matchup was Sami Callihan versus Kenny King. And I gotta say, other than this show putting over Jimmy Jacobs and Tyler Black's main event, and they did a good job in the main event, other than that, I think Kenny King is one of those stars that really stood out on this show for people that might have just seen it for the first time. And before every match, they did this thing where they did like smack talk, which was a wrestler during his entrance. They would go to a little promo package from that wrestler. And Kenny King, I gotta say, I've always been pretty much a fan of him, and glad Ring of Honor is starting to really utilize him. And I think Ring of Honor should really start pushing him even further because he's definitely very charismatic. He's good at promos, and he's good in the ring as well. I would pretty much classify him as, a lot of people would say he's very similar to Shelton Benjamin with his somewhat of his look and plus his in-ring work as well at sometimes. But I would say he's pretty much, as far as a full package, total package, I think he's a better than Shelton Benjamin overall because I think he's very charismatic and he's better at promos than what Shelton Benjamin is. And definitely would like to see Kenny King utilized more. Kenny King goes over after he hits the coronation on Sami Callihan, just like the opener. Pretty solid match. Got another 5 to 6 minutes. So the first 2 matches got at least 5 to 6 minutes. That's good for a 1-hour TV broadcast. Then they had a promo with Jimmy Jacobs. Pretty much what Jimmy Jacobs said in his promo was that, Tyler Black, you turned yourself on my movement in the whole Age of the Fall, and you just want to pretty much pander to the fans. And that was pretty much the basis of his promo. Then after that, before the next match, I think they did a Ring of Honor video package showcasing the history of Ring of Honor. And I think this is a very good thing for Ring of Honor to do on any of their pay-per-views, or definitely to do on their first TV show on HDNET, because there might be some people watching this show that said, hey, let me give Ring of Honor a shot, let me check it out. And I think the Ring of Honor video package really put over, some of these stars, the past Ring of Honor people that people would know, and put over, showcase pretty much a good history of Ring of Honor in a very short package. And I think it really did a good job there. And then the next matchup was Rhett Titus versus Brent Albright. Rhett Titus did a very good promo right before the match. Now, the only thing I had problem with this match, and this was the only part, as far as match-wise, that I really had a problem with on this. This was the only match that you can kind of classify as not being that good or in the maybe terrible category, because it got about 6 minutes maybe. But the problem I had with this was they had Rhett Titus have way too much offense on Brent Albright, which was
the main problem I had with this, which was Rhett Titus shouldn't have had a competitive match against Brent Albright. I think if you would have done, this would have worked out better if, Rhett Titus was, very cocky and he thought he could beat Brent Albright, and then Brent Albright just come out here and completely squash him. I think that would have probably worked out a little better overall than having a competitive back and forth match, which was kind of the problem I had with this. Brent Albright, should come out here and just completely squash someone like Rhett Titus. I think that would have worked out better. The match ends with Brent Albright hitting the half Nelson suplex to Rhett Titus, then putting Rhett Titus in the crowbar submission, and Rhett Titus taps out. So Brent Albright does go over. So they finished the match making Brent Albright looking strong, but they kind of made him look a little weak in the beginning since they kind of booked it in a competitive nature, which I didn't like the idea of that. I think it would have been much better, like I said, if it would have been a squash match. Then after this was the main event, which was Jimmy Jacobs versus Tyler Black. And this main event got a good amount of time. It was about probably a little under 15 minutes. It was either 14 or 15 minutes. Good back and forth stuff between Jimmy Jacobs and Tyler Black. Really enjoyed it for a TV broadcast and a TV main event. Very good. And Tyler Black goes over at the end of the match. Jimmy Jacobs puts the end time submission on Tyler Black, and Tyler Black reverses into a pinfall. So Tyler Black goes over in this match. And overall, I'll say this was a pretty solid show. And for an hour broadcast, which the one good thing out of this not being on a regular cable network, that I guess with HDNet they don't really have as many commercials that regular networks would have to have. So it was an hour show, but it had, it was approximately probably 51 or 52 minutes long. So you got a little more extra time than what you would have got if it was on, say, something like USA or Spike TV, because then you would be only be able to have either 42 or 43 minutes if you're lucky. So they got a little extra couple minutes since being on HDNet, which was a good thing. And for an hour show, got at least about 32 to 33 minutes of in-ring wrestling, which is something you really don't see that much with the mainstream companies of WWE and TNA. Sometimes you're lucky if, TNA or WWE gives you
32 or 33 minutes of actual in-ring wrestling, which is a good thing that Ring of Honor did here. And I think this was a good start for their first TV broadcast. Now, it wasn't an excellent show, but it was a good overall show. It was a very good show considering, you didn't have Nigel McGuinness, you didn't have Bryan Danielson, you didn't have Austin Aries, you didn't have Steen and Generico, you didn't have the Briscoes, so you really didn't have your top talent on this show. You had Jimmy Jacobs, Tyler Black, and you had Jerry Lynn, Delirious, but other than that, you pretty much didn't have, top talent on here or main event competition on here. So for that, that's a good thing to see that even without them, you put on a very good show. And I think, this show right here, I think is going to get people that might have just tuned in and this will be the first Ring of Honor that they saw to come back and check out the following episodes of the HDNET episodes of Ring of Honor. I think it did that. And, now, did it put over the Ring of Honor product in a way that I think people just saw this, and this is their only Ring of Honor they saw, that they would go out and get a Ring of Honor DVD or get a Ring of Honor pay-per-view? No, but I think after about 4 or 5 episodes, and after this first set of tapings, the first 6 episodes ends up, and they tape the next set of tapings, and I think by then it's going to really put over the Ring of Honor product. I think it could gain a couple new fans for Ring of Honor. I know HDNet's pretty popular with the MMA fan base, so maybe some MMA fans that maybe might have catched this out just because they, like the HDNet programming and said, hey, let me just give this a chance, see how this is, see if it's different than the mainstream companies at WWE and TNA. And I think, maybe some of them, got warmed over with the Ring of Honor product and want to check it out a little more.